Hi, welcome to my channel, Imperfect Woman of God. Today I'm gonna read my summary for Paul. I'm at Romans. Well, Paul is in Romans, ain't that something? But yeah, gonna read my summary and then like some of the scriptures that draw to me and why. Paul wrote this letter to the believers in Rome to give in concrete theology foundations to construct faith and live and serve God. Supplies information, talks about God, judgment, spiritual growth. That's the first chapter. And chapters 1 through 8. Paul explains the salvation. Right to have a relationship with the Lord. And then chapter 10, verse 13, place faith and trust in Jesus. Of life, and believe and raise, and believe that he was raised from the grave. That's chapter 10, verse 13. Paul, place faith and trust in Jesus, who gave you life, who gave us all life, and believe that he came from the grave and was rose from the grave. And you have chapter 12, verse 12 through 16. Paul gives instructions for all Christians about how to live a holy life. Beginning chapter 12, he writes much of the errors and trials that Paul dealt with the apostles, So basically Paul, he's a believer in the Lord and trying to convince people to serve and live for the Lord. Pretty much it. That's the summary of Romans. I actually like Romans. I have a lot of scriptures in Romans that I like. You have chapter 1, verse 21 I like. God's wrath of the unrighteousness. I won't even say I like, it just informs me on stuff. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God and give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. So they became that way due to the fact that they didn't believe in the Lord. I feel like that's a lot going on now. A lot of people I meet do not believe in God or his Bible, because I feel like if you don't believe in the Word, you don't believe in God in general. Or if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't believe in God in general. It's more of a back and forth situation with that. Yeah, so that's what's happening in this today, as we claim. Chapter 1, verse 22, claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of a moral God for images resembling mortal man, birds, and animals. So basically they had idols, and God does not like idols. Thou shalt not have idols. That's the 10 Commandments. In chapter 1, verse 24, therefore God gave them up to the lust of their hearts, to impurity, to dishonoring of their bodies among themselves. So yeah, that's pretty much, God just gave them like, hey, do you, dishonoring their hearts by doing bad things. Okay, my neighbors like being loud. They always argue, by the way. And that's pretty much how far I've gotten when it comes down to writing all my scriptures that I like. But so far, most of my... I got my Bible right here. Let me see. I keep getting to Matthew because I keep having the book back, the thing there. But yes, so far, God talks about his righteousness, his judgment on people in general. Okay, they have God's righteous judgment, and then they have, God's wrath of unrighteousness, because he will bring wrath on others that do not live for God. And that's pretty much what I see on here so far. Well, that's what I'm doing, because I have like a bunch of circles on all kind of stuff going on here. So yeah, pretty much the judgment, the faith, that's pretty much what Romans talks about. Having the that talks about God's judgment, his wrath, how he feels about his believers, his non-believers, how Paul lived trying to convince, apostles and things like that to believe in the Lord, if that makes sense. I try to make these videos short because, people like to go on and on about it, but I'm very straightforward. And yeah, that's, the law of the sin and how sinning is against the law and the commandments and things like that. Slaves to the, righteousness, but some people are slaves to their sins also, so it goes both ways. Peace comes through God and faith, so you get peace through God. The spirit and the flesh, pretty much. I'm actually looking through here while I'm doing this. He just keeps going, living sacrifice. It's just this is the longest chapter actually. So God gives us grace, due to the fact that we choose to not sin. Mark of a true Christian, how you can identify a Christian. That is chapter 12. Okay, how you can identify a Christian and not a Christian, or identify a follower of God and not a God. Fulfilling the law, just fulfilling the law, follow the law, the judgment. Pretty much, talk about Paul in Rome, the things he was going through, just that's pretty much like my summary that I had, So that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to put all that in the video. Up under my video description box. Everything and all the chapters that kind of stand out to me. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm just making sure I'm going through everything. So yeah, if you want to learn about God's judgment, spiritual growth, and how to serve Him, and His faith and His grace, and how God don't play, pretty much read Romans. Because Romans, I think everybody should read Romans, honestly, because it'll give you a deeper understanding and how to identify a real follower of God, and how, because every follower of God or woman of God or anything has some type of mark or some type of identification that you can identify them easily without being, I guess you would say, led astray. Because a lot of people, and talk about false prophets also, but no, I think it was another chapter. I think I'm getting confused with something else. Yeah, it's another chapter, my bad. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just if you want to read about Paul and his issues he was dealing with, and I feel like people are dealing with that now, as some pastors that are actually men and women of God have to deal with this, and how to blend in with the world just as people of God. And that's pretty much it. That's all my summary is. And the wrath, God will bring wrath on everyone who does not follow the law, and who does not stop sinning, and who continues to fulfill their hearts. And I keep seeing that all the time in every, I wouldn't even say every Bible chapter I've read, but it keeps pointing out, it keeps saying your heart and your desires and things like that can send somebody easily to hell. So what I'm getting out of it is just don't follow your desires, and what your heart wants to do, because if it doesn't coincide or it doesn't align with the Lord at all, you shouldn't even be doing it. Or if you're making money just to buy things, or making money just to pay bills or something like that, it has nothing to do with the Lord. Or just, making money just to buy material things, just crazy stuff like that. Or you desire to be in a relationship because it comes with money and the fancy clothes and stuff. It's little stuff like that that's just bad, straight up just has nothing to do with the Lord. Don't even mess with it, honestly. Continue to focus on God, because I think what's going to happen, a lot of people are going to end up giving into their desires and their way of thinking, and their and then also listening to what other people have to say, not identifying who is a real man and woman of God, and listening to them, and then they lead you astray. Because I've been bumping into a lot of people like that, non-believers, and they'll try to lead you astray, or try to have you questioning God. Or I had people that I've met that wanted me to stop making YouTube videos. Oh, why are you doing that for? Do you really need to do YouTube videos and all that? And it's and I find that strange, because it's why the heck? This is the second or third time somebody brought that up. I'm why is everybody so worried about Jalecia posting YouTube videos? So it's little stuff like that kind of lets you know if a person's full of, crap, or just full of sin in general, and want to sit there and try to push you in the darkness. I'm not okay with that, because I feel like I've been through too much to sit here and turn back and be who I was. And then jobs and places like that, we all suffer in different ways. I think that was First Peter, where it talks about brothers and sisters. I think it was first or second, one of those, talking about how brothers and sisters, we all suffer in different ways. Some of us suffer in silence, and we do not tell people our sufferings. We all will suffer, we all will go through our stuff. Well, you must learn how to identify who is a true believer and who is not, and live like Paul did, and live like Jesus did, and live like Moses. Live life knowing that you did what God put you on earth to do. That's pretty much what I'm getting out of all these chapters. And do not give in to your desires. Yes, God said He will give you the desires, but He only will give you the desires that He knows that will do good for you, not bad for you, if that makes sense. If you're wanting to do something that has nothing to do with the Lord, do not do it. And that's all I gotta say.